guys, CJ here, back with another review, talking about Steven Spielberg's movie Ready Player One. So, going to this film, I never read the book. Heard a lot of people say, to varying degrees of things about the book, saying that it was pretty good and such, and things of that nature. So, I basically went into this film not knowing anything about the book whatsoever and such, and just taking it for the material that's given to me and such. Now, came out the movie, and it was interesting to me that a lot of folks that read the book felt this movie was better than the book. Now, it's interesting to me because in the history of movies that's based off of books, you get varying degrees of quality when it comes to those movies. You might get a movie that might be in the category like the Lord of the Rings movie films where it definitely hit on the source material, but they also cut certain things because, hey, the movies were already clocking in close to 3 hours already, and even with the time that you're given, you don't get much. With the stuff that they put in the Lord of the Rings books, it's not enough time to really kind of get everything in one book and one movie. So you end up having to do a lot of sacrificing with the story and doing a little, kind of voodoo and stuff to kind of figure out certain things and such. So, yeah, you'll get your movies that either A, stays true to the source material, do little small changes, but it does its job, which is what Ready Player One is and such. It's taking the material and toning down certain aspects of the book that was just way over the top. Or you, like I said, the Lord of the Rings aspect, which is what Ready Player One is in that category. Or two, you might get a book, might get a movie that's based off a book, and it's nothing like the book whatsoever. Or it takes pieces of the book and stuff like that, but it doesn't necessarily nail what the book was trying to do. I'm looking at you, Annihilation, because that's a great example of a movie that took its inspiration from the book, but it didn't necessarily really do anything from it. It basically deviated from it, so you lost out on characterizations for certain characters and such. And when it comes to this movie, I can say this. Even not having read the book, I think that this movie overall is a pretty good movie. It's pretty good. It's an alright movie. I enjoyed it and such. Like I said, a lot of positive and negatives. But so before we get into that, so here's the basis of Ready Player One. Ready Player One is basically set in this world. It's 2044. Ty Sheridan plays Wade Watts, and he lives in the Stacks, Columbus, Ohio. Uh, this is 2044. This is the future. This Earth overpopulation, pollution, and the climate change and all that stuff is kind of changed up the world and such. So with that, a lot of people kind of retreat to the Oasis, which is kind of like Second Life. If you ever play Second Life, it's basically you have an avatar that looks like a regular person and you're just interacting with other people and such. It's just in a virtual world. So it's like Second Life, and like I said, people go there to kind of escape from, whether it's they're going on vacation or just kind of escape from the real world. People are wired in, and you see that this world has consumed itself on the virtual reality because people are literally out in the streets and they got the virtual reality stuff on, and it's like it's just consumed them. Technology has consumed society in this future. So this guy who was co-creator, Holiday, he was co-creator, James Holiday, he was the co-creator of the Oasis. And his partner, I think, was it, I'm trying to think, was it Ogden? Was it Ogden Morrow or whatever? He was also co-creator with the Oasis with Holiday and such. When Holiday died, he basically left 3 keys, and whoever retrieves these 3 keys in the Oasis, they basically will own the company. That's basically the basis of the movie, and it's the basis of the book. And the movie does a good job of really taking the video game aspects that you know and love and really running with it and such. Because this is basically a movie where the characters are going through different stages and such till they get to the final stage and they get the key and blah, blah, blah. And it's actually pretty interesting that that's how the movie is structured as well. It works, and for better or worse. Now, Let's start with the negatives. So I felt that this movie was a bit too long. It clocks in about 2 hours, 15 minutes and such, and usually a sweet spot. 2 hours, 15 ain't bad, but I can see this kind of taking people's attention, kind of like, oh man, is it done? Come on, watching the film, and I'm enjoying it and such, and then I kind of forgot that there was a finale and such. I don't know how because you look at TV spots and such, but I forgot like, oh man, it's a big finale and such, and you're enjoying it, and then it's like, oh, it slows down, and it's like, man, is it over yet? And then it finally is over, and you're like, all right, thank God and such. And like I said, the length was bothering. Two, the pandering, the amount of just over the top fan service. Now, again, I know a lot of people that read the book and stuff, and particularly that little aspect of it and such. And like I said, some people are gonna like it. Some people won't, but it gets very fan servicey and stuff. Really fan servicey to the point that sometimes it takes away from the movie itself a bit. And like I said, the nostalgia that you get in this movie and such, it's a byproduct of Holiday because his character was very obsessed with the 80s. So you're going to see a lot of 80s reference with Atari and just the music and things of that nature. You're going to get those references because that's what the character was very obsessed with. So that's just what it is and such. So you got those two things that's kind of going against it and such. And, like I said, to kind of go to the positive side of things, the nostalgia. Because I know I said before with the negative on the nostalgia, whereas it's been on the overload, the positive is that the nostalgia is in full effect. And even beyond the nostalgia, you will sit there and literally see even recent characters. You see Overwatch characters, you see Street Fighter characters, you'll see characters from movies. I mean, shit, there was a part where, this is not really a spoiler per se. Jason Voorhees is in this movie. It's nothing but a hodgepodge of just, like, oh, hey, I remember this character. Oh, that's Ryu. That's Ken. Oh, man, he did the Hadouken. That's awesome, right? It's great. It's fabulous. Oh, man, it's cool. And like I said, you're kind of like, oh shit, this is dope. I like this and stuff. The characters, they have avatars when they go into the Oasis and such, and the things that they have to, they do different things to get money and such. They can either do challenges and such. And like I said, it's an interesting concept and such, and I like it. Now the main bad guys, they're from IO, and the bad guy was at Zandor. He basically wants to monetize the Oasis and kind of pull some microtransactions, DLC bullshit with it and such, and the people ain't having it. So he basically wants to take over the Oasis and, like I said, microtransactions and stuff, and it's up to Wade and his crew to basically stop him and such. And like I said, he's a corporate villain. What do you want? But it works. It works for the content of the story. I'm not expecting him to be ridiculous with it, but it also works. He's a corporate villain. What more do you want? And even when you get his backstory on how he came to be, it is kind of like funny and such. Because Xander, for all intents and purposes, he does play kind of like an entitled newbie with the video games, particularly with how his character's interaction with the video game world is and such. He is very much a noob, but because he has a position of power and such, nobody ever checks him on it and such. TJ Miller's in the movie, and it's funny to me because he is the funniest part of this film. But it was kind of interesting that they never really promoted him on the trailers or anything. And it's interesting to me because TJ Miller's going through his stuff with the sexual assault allegations and things like that. So it's interesting to me that they didn't bother to advertise him on there, but then it makes me wonder, well, why did you hire him? You could have got somebody else and we got the same effect. Because, like I said, TJ Miller was pretty hilarious in this movie and such, and it's kind of a shame in a sense of the studio probably could have got somebody else, but they stuck it out with them because they clearly saw something that he could bring to the table. Hey, I will admit it straight up, he's actually pretty funny in this movie. I enjoy it. But the overall scheme of this world is interesting in and of itself. Now, I would say another hang-up of mine was just the aspect of you made your character a bit too perfect. While he is a very likable character and you want to see him succeed, he comes off a bit too perfect to the point where you're asking yourself what makes him so special? What makes him more special than, say, a person out there that did it, because they really hit you over the head on the whole purity aspect of, gaming and such. It should always be this and that and such at times. And it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, all right, cool, whatever and stuff, but it is what it is and such. Um, you know, one of the characters that I'd like was Lena Waithe's character. She plays, I think it was an H in the Oasis and such, and she's actually pretty good in this movie. I enjoy her very much and such, and then like her interaction. She was actually pretty good. I would probably call her the MVP, but the two Asian brothers, I think it was a Show and Daito. Those are the characters. They were actually pretty cool. I loved it and such. In particularly, just their interactions, like, oh, I'm 11 years old, kind of like playing on the whole idea of all little kids online and all that such. Um, but yeah, it's kind of interesting to me. Just the overall movie itself is good. Um, I recommend you go see it. Like I said, I'm giving it a score of 7 out of 10. I think that ultimately you will enjoy it. It's not a bad movie. You will enjoy it. But like I said, your mileage is going to vary on whether you like. Sorry about that. Your mileage is going to vary on whether you like the nostalgic overload. Because like I said, when you get to that final battle, it hits you hard and fast on like nostalgia. You see all these characters and such. And like I said, some people, might sit there and look at the score and be like, oh man, it's just perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. But for what they're doing and such, it just feels like such a just over the topness of it and such. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with over the topness and stuff in your movies and such. It's just some people might like all the on your nose, 80s references and stuff, and some other people might like the on the nose aspect of the video games and such, and and really just take it to heart. But yeah, it's just the overall movie itself. I love the journey and such. I love Simon Pegg. He played Simon Pegg in the movie. He was great. I like the characters' avatars. I like how everything was structured like a video game. Like you would see in a video game. They got a hub, they got to get health. They got to do these things and stuff like that. And it's actually pretty interesting. I like it. I enjoy it. Like I say, I always appreciate, you know, those kind of things and such. But like I said, for me, my mileage kind of varied on the pandering and such. Because while I get it, it's cool. You're doing a movie based off a video game. It's kind of one of those situations where you're like, I didn't need you to really go crazy over the top with it. You didn't have to do that, but hey, I can always appreciate somebody that does that. And like I say, you look at this movie, it has that Steven Spielberg kind of vibe to it and such, very on the nose. I mean, the character has the Back to the Future DeLorean car, and they really just pushed that hot and heavy and such. You like I said, told you before, the Iron Giant is in this movie. The fucking RX-78 Gundam is in this movie, and it's like, all right, cool, like I said, it didn't do like that compared to Pacific Rim. Didn't do it for me. It was just like, all right, RX-78's, and then that's dope and nice. Oh, he's doing this. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. And like I said, it's not me playing it cool. It's just me just kind of like, hey, I get it. We get it. 80s, cool. Atari, that's awesome. So. But yeah, 7 out of 10 for me. It's definitely worth a watch. You will enjoy it. Like I said, your miles is gonna vary on the nostalgia. Your miles is gonna vary on just the pandering and such. So yeah, if you like it, hey, check it out for more and such. But yeah, 7 out of 10. Trying to think if there's. I don't want to spoil it. I would just say this: go see it. You'll like it. If you are really hardcore into video games, you would definitely enjoy it. Um, okay. Let me go on a little tangent here about just the movie overall. Um, I just remember I was sitting in the theater and stuff watching it, and I'm just enjoying, all the video game references. But what I like about Wade's character that I thought was interesting is just how, and I know I said that he isn't necessarily like he's too perfect and such. There was a small moment that I did enjoy, and that's particularly his interaction when he sees Artemis for the first time, and just his interactions with her up to this point. And he comes from a very naive personality, like, oh man, I like her, I like her, I like her, and Age is telling him, hey, don't do it, you're gonna regret it. And that's basically I thought that was interesting because he's so naive that when he sees Artemis and stuff, he's like, "Oh, I think I love you," and he's doing all this extra stuff, and it's like, "Yo, I never asked you to do that." It's just that's the kind of stuff that you see with Wade and such, and it's like, okay, But like I said, he still comes across very perfect and such, and it's like, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. But like I said, the movie overall, you will enjoy it. You will get your references and stuff. You get your Overwatch references. You get your Street Fighter references. You get your Mortal Kombat. Anything that you could think of nostalgia-wise, 80s and just anything was at this little thing, and you know. So that in mind, that's it for my review. Like I said, 7 out of 10. Go see it. Go check it out. You'll definitely enjoy it. It's an alright movie. You won't regret it. So, and like I said, I like the stamp of approval knowing that people that read the book actually enjoy this movie a lot and like it more than the book. So that's always pretty welcoming and enjoyable and such. But anyway, I guess that's it for the review. Next time you probably hear us, it'll be for blockers. That'll be the next one that we're doing. But yeah, if you like this review and such, and go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and hit the notification thing for this channel, so you can basically get up to date on any of our reviews as it comes up and such. So with that in mind, Ready Player One, go see it, 7 out of 10, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.